M. O'Toole, qu'est-ce qui doit être changé à la Québec? Qu'est-ce qui doit être changé dans la façon dont le système des élections fonctionne en ce moment?
L'ingérence étrangère est un enjeu important pour notre démocratie et on doit prendre les mesures nécessaires pour notre démocratie, et particulièrement pour les communautés diaspora, chinoises, indiennes, à travers le pays. C'est très important d'avoir les sources d'information avec confiance. Et les réseaux sociaux dans les langues étrangères sont un risque pour notre démocratie, je pense. Donc, c'est pourquoi l'enquête est très importante pour la prochaine élection.
Est-ce qu'il devrait y avoir des changements et s'il y a un effet au niveau local et pas seulement national, qu'on agisse alors qu'en ce moment-ci, on ne peut pas agir?
J'espère que Mme Hogue va recommander quelques mesures pour protéger notre démocratie et particulièrement protéger les communautés diaspora à Vancouver et à Toronto. Mais pour tous les Canadiens, c'est très important d'avoir les sources de médias sauf et c'est important d'avoir l'information sur l'élection correcte pour une décision importante pour chaque Canadien et Canadienne.
The documents that we're seeing that are part of this inquiry suggest that the Conservatives and yourself were targeted online, but the intelligence officials had a hard time determining what impact that had and how much of it, like where it was coming from and how much of it there was. What's your takeaway from what you've learned so far about some of the intelligence reports and what they've found?
Well, my main concern was there were reports that verified the concerns we were hearing during the election, and nothing was shared with us at that time. We may have made some different decisions, and I do think some candidates in particularly were harmed on a personal level by some of this. And so I think that's why we need this inquiry to better prepare for elections in the future. We were not ready in 2021, and our democracy is important, so I think we have to take the measures to make it ready next time. And with many Canadians that rely on foreign-based social media platforms, I think we have to really warn them that they're not a trustworthy source of information.
So do you think the Chinese government got what it wanted with you no longer as leader of the party? Do you think that's what Beijing was after?
Look, you know, all of you covered the post-election period. There were many things that led my caucus to make a decision that they wanted a different leader, and I respect that. But I do think, you know, some ridings and some MPs should still be in Ottawa, but for some of the interference by a foreign actor, and that should concern Canadians. It shouldn't matter how many ridings were affected. It's the fact that if some people were intimidated because of the actions of a foreign actor, that's a violation on our democracy, whether or not the final outcome was changed. So I think let's take a nonpartisan approach to fix this, and that's what I'm hopeful the inquiry will recommend.
Did you have the impression at the time?
What does this show about the need to pay attention to diaspora politics? I think that's something that has been ignored. Do you think there needs to be a focus? It can't just be about Canadian politics. We have to actually figure out what's going on in these various communities.
Well, I think, you know, foreign policy, look at the conflicts we have in the world right now, look at the situation of a deglobalization, changing trade. We have to make sure that we have foreign policy that's based on our values and our interests as a country and what's best for Canadian families. And some of these foreign interference measures are trying to interfere with that, trying to get us to change our values or are pushing other interests. And I think this is where Canadians need to have trust in platforms that they rely on for information, and to make sure that they can vote without any intimidation or any pressure to vote either way or to not vote. And I think that's what we weren't ready for last time.
Do you have the impression that the intelligence, you know, arena is only concerned about the final result, or do you feel like there is any emphasis put on these sort of riding by riding meddling issues?
I think there were some decisions made last time to say that they were only going to make public notice if it was affecting the entire outcome. But I think every vote counts in Canada. Every riding counts. So you can't just say that certain ridings in the Vancouver area or Toronto are going to be the sort of rounding errors of our democracy. No, everyone's vote counts. And I've seen how important that vote is For young people, when they vote the first time, they like telling you about it. For people that move to Canada and become a citizen, vote for the first time, they almost appreciate that right more than some of us that take it for granted. So it's probably our most important democratic right. I think we have to do a little bit more to safeguard it.
Donc,
How do you see the government? How do you see government agencies doing that, though? Because your current leader seems to be very concerned about the government trying to censor the internet, censor unpopular views.
Well, I think there's a big difference between what I might call the Silicon Valley, the sort of Western democratic internet, and platforms like WeChat. So hundreds of thousands of Canadians use WeChat to communicate with family abroad. Here, it's kind of a platform of everything. It can also be controlled directly by Beijing. And the algorithms and things like that, our agencies don't even have a proper line of sight into. And they can impact tens of thousands of votes. So I think we have to look at how we can counter that. How do you respect the principle of free speech, but don't allow propaganda to make its way into our country?
Qui a été la pire victime de l'ingérence étrangère de 2021, selon vous?
Selon moi, c'était la communauté chinois-canadienne, particulièrement à Richmond et à Markham, parce qu'il y a eu une pression par l'État chinois contre le vote des Canadiens, basée sur moi et Kenny Chu et notre plateforme politique. Mais c'est horrible si un seul Canadien ne vote pas parce qu'il y a la pression étrangère. Et c'est pourquoi on a besoin d'une enquête professionnelle. Et j'espère que Mme Hogue va recommander quelques mesures d'améliorer notre démocratie. Merci beaucoup tout le monde.
Est-ce qu'on devrait
Merci,
agir face
Hogan.
à l'NFL?